Let's get this drop cloth on the counter.
Yeah.
Cover this with the cardboard. Now, how about if you take off the electrical plate?
Sure, yeah.
And I'll get the tools that we need to do this removal.
Sounds good.
You can see how they took off the first course to get the stone into place.
Yep, to put the countertop, yep.
Right. So now what I'll do is I'll come in from the side here and we'll gently remove this tile.
Okay.
The tools that I'm going to use will be this little flat bar, a hammer, and two different types of scrapers. One's a razor and one's just a straight scraper.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's start at this top course right here. Oh, that came off pretty good. So far, David. Don't worry about this. We'll just fill that right in with some cement.
Okay.
Feel like giving this a shot?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, give it.
Half.
Now let's do this. Hold this more.
Closer to the wall?
Yeah, just drop that down a little bit more. And hold this.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Hold that tight to that edge.
Yeah.
Just give it a little tap.
Yeah, I can feel it coming out when it's close.
Feel the difference?
Yeah.
The hammer is just helping this along. You're really applying some pressure here. Doesn't look it, but you push on this and then just give this a tap.
Okay.
And off they come. Next step is, with the electricity turned off, we want to think about removing these tile. And before we do that, I want to loosen up this outlet.
Why do you need to do that?
Just so we don't damage it during the chiseling and
Okay.
removal of the tile. So we'll just loosen this up a little bit. The next step is to clean down these walls. Free it up from all this mastic, plaster, and get this thing nice and smooth.
Okay.
I'll start with this scraper. Okay, now we need to fill in these holes. What I've done is I've mixed up some thin set, just following the instructions on this bag. It's nice and stiff. So now what I will do is take some out of the pail, put it on my flat trowel, start applying it right into those holes. Okay. Push it right into that caulk. That's it. Hold that trowel like you're shaking someone's hand. There you go. I think you're getting the hang of this, David.
So how long does it take before we can actually put on the tiles?
With this fast setting thin set, we'll be ready in a half an hour. Okay, now to smooth this off, I take some water, my sponge, my face trowel, and I smooth this right down. The tiles are 12 by 12 sheets. Before we do any setting, I like to lay this out dry. And we take the measurements off the wall, we transfer them to these sheets, determines all our pieces.
Okay.
So we'll take this measurement off the casing, come out to the edge of your countertop, that's 54 inches. Put that to the edge of that tile. Let's see where 54 takes us. That's a full tile, no cuts. So that looks good.
Yep.
Okay, now let's take the height from the countertop. Get that right down there on that stone. Come up to your cabinet, and that's 17 3/4. Okay? We'll take that 17 3/4.
Yep.
Okay, you hold that? And here we are. So that's just a 1/4 inch that we have to cut off this top piece.
From the top, okay.
All right? So, let's clear this off, pile up the tile, and we can begin setting. For setting the tile, I've mixed up the same thin set. It's just a little looser. So we'll take some of this, put it onto the face trowel, and start spreading this on the wall. You can see that I'm not applying this on very heavy. There's probably another 1/8 of an inch or so that I'm putting to the wall. Usually, I use a notch trowel, just like this. When you use a notch trowel, see those notches?
Yeah.
That will transfer right through the translucent tile, and it'll be all grids. That's why we're going to use the straight edge trowel. Okay. The setting bed's nice and wet. We'll take this sheet and we'll just start. Bring it right to that line. You just push gently on these tile. Just rub them down by hand. You'll feel any high ones, just push them down.
So they stick pretty quickly to the wall once you place it on the wall?
Yeah, it's going to hang there. Okay. And we're ready for the second sheet. Just make sure this is still wet. Okay, another sheet. Now this vertical joint, you're just going to eye this off the field. It's about 1/8 of an inch. Just push firmly. Now we're ready for the next sheet. This one is going up against the electrical outlet. So let's just hold it up there. Let's see how many tile we need to remove. That looks like 3.
Right.
1, 2, 3. We'll cut those off with the utility knife. Just lay this down upside down. Make sure this is wet. Okay. Take this sheet. Okay, I've cut this sheet in half. This will fit in here nicely, except the window stool is in the way. So we can do one of two things. We can either cut the tile around it, or I can take my undercut saw and cut behind it and give it a notch. I'm going to cut the stool. I'm going to take these 2 tile and use this as a gauge to determine the depth of the cut that I'm going to make with this, my undercut saw. We'll just place this against the tile and turn this on. Put a little bit more thin set here. You want to put that half a sheet right in there, Dave?
Yep.
Okay. Tucks behind there nicely, doesn't it?
It does. It fits perfect, yeah.
Good. Our next 2 tile need to be cut around the electrical outlet. This top piece needs to be trimmed slightly so that that screw will pass into the screw hole. The bottom piece needs to be cut as well. So I have this tile upside down and backwards so that we can mark it, X the piece, and put it in the tile cutter, snap and cut it. Let's see how we did. Okay. That looks good. Now let's try this top piece. Again, upside down and backwards. Just mark where the screw hole is, and I'll put my nippers to it. Let's mark it on the top side. Okay. Let's give this a try. Beauty. Okay. Since we can't spread any fresh thin set around the outlet, I've applied it to the back side of these pieces of tile. This is called back buttering. Now I'll take this, set that in place, And then to maintain the same grout joint size, I'll take a spacer. Insert that on the underside. It keeps it in place. And then we can go to the next piece on top. Okay. Okay, now, let's take these 3 courses right here. Hold this up. And you can see that the joint here is too tight.
Yep, the bottom one, yep.
So what we'll do is, we'll just cut this 2 rows, set this, and I'll trim a little bit off this top row.
Okay.
Then I'll just take it just to clean the burr off. Let's see how it fits. Okay, let's try this piece. And that looks good.
Yeah, good fit.
Okay, 22 more, and we've got this section done.
All right, let's get to it.
Well, David, looks like you have the beginnings of a backsplash.
It looks better here than it does in the showroom.
Hey, thanks. Tell me, when are you going to tackle the rest of it?
This weekend. It'll be done this weekend.
Good, so when all the tile's up and you get the grout all sponged in, you're going to have yourself a beautiful kitchen.
Joe, thanks. I really appreciate your help.
Oh, you're very welcome.